What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. Talk Nelson Radio. The Mako Rugby Roundup.
Welcome to the Mako Rugby Roundup, episode 10. Welcome to my co-hosts Les Edwards and Sean Davies. Welcome back, lads.
Thanks, mate. Good to be back.
Yeah.
Episode 10, would you believe? Man,
Can't believe it.
that's
10 weeks has flown by, hasn't it?
And we always talk about dress sense, so look at that, rainbow colours today. Bit of a story behind that, Les.
Oh, it is a storied football team, the Parisian Spoofers. So, the 8 colours of the original IRB nations interwoven into this marvellous jersey.
Wow.
Masterpiece.
It is, thank you.
And tell us about your attire today, Sean.
I'm just representing the Tapawera region.
Nice.
So it's just a little shout out back to the Stags. Went down again this week, but still fighting, mate. So
Still fighting, still there.
Yeah, exactly.
Good stuff. And our very special guest is the high performance manager for the Tasman Rugby Union, Jimmy Holden. Welcome, Jimmy. Great to have you here.
Thanks very much. Good to be on.
On this week's show, we'll talk first 15 rugby, senior men's and women's rugby, Super Rugby, the final, the big game. We're going to talk some All Black selections, I'm sure, Les, and also a very special chat with Jimmy about his career so far and his role as the high performance manager for the Tasman Rugby Union. But first, our venue sponsor is O'Shedigan's on Bridge Street. And it's time for the Shed Chat. So how's the week been, Sean?
Good week, mate. We had State of Origin on last night, of course, so it was a later night for me than most, but during the week, I should say. So it was a good turnout for that.
Right.
Bit of a hiding, but it was good.
Not
good
that we
event.
should be talking lead,
No,
Les,
I
but
don't mind talking league.
the Reds did it, didn't they?
Yeah,
And,
and I'm a Blues supporter.
convincing
So,
oh yeah,
I've been hurt for the last 5 years.
yeah, I
reckon.
know.
you might have a few more years next year, mate, by the looks of it.
That's right.
Exactly.
And then obviously Super Rugby final this weekend, mate. We'll talk about that a bit later, obviously, but that'll be a big one for the bar and for rugby in general. And then through to Sunday morning, we've actually got a poker tournament here on Sunday, which will be a fairly big event. So I'll probably clean everyone up in that. So that's
Your shout out.
yeah, exactly.
Your shout next week,
Sunday evening.
Strong week.
No,
And it's a strong week, isn't it?
yeah, always lots on, mate.
Open
Lots
during the
going.
day, and of course you can come down here and have a good time on Friday, Saturday night as well. So
Yeah, mate. Yep.
Yeah.
Open every night, so get amongst that.
O'Shedigan's on Bridge Street. Okay, first 15 rugby round 6. What's the lineup this week?
I'm very pleased to say that on Saturday, Waimea Combined are playing, and they won their second game on the weekend. So,
Cool.
and it was a big win too. And I saw some of the lads at Trafalgar Park, and they were chuffed with their 70-point win. So they're on a bit of a roll. They're 2-3, but they're heading away to they're hosting Christchurch Boys High School, second 15. That's at Waimea College at 12 noon. So, all of you Richmond folk, get out there and support this improving team.
Absolutely. Big game. So get out there and support them. And also, how are we looking for Nelson College?
Yeah, so in the premiership on Tuesday, they had a rather good win against Shirley Boys High, 29-5. So they've gone 7-0, Jimmy, and you'd keep an eye on these lads, I'm sure, pre-academy prospects. 7-0, that's a magnificent start to the season for them. So they have a rest this weekend, but on Saturday, Marlborough Boys, who are 2-3, are away to St. Bede's, who are 3-2. That's at Saturday down in Christchurch.
Good stuff. And St. Bede's, and hopefully the weather's not too bad down there. I was there down there on the weekend, and Hagley Park, I watched high school old boys take on Marist and Albions, and also they took on in the senior grade Belfast, and that was on Hagley Park. But
Bit chilly.
Cold, drizzly, you could hardly see in front of you. Perfect rugby weather. So a shout out to all those guys, and Yeah, some great rugby there, and certainly some good young talent coming through. Difference between Senior A and Senior B is the kicking, really, I thought. I thought both sides played good football, but when it came to the kicking, Senior B wasn't that flash,
Yes.
but Senior A was just spot on, but talk about defence, man, just really difficult to get across the line, which we see in the game today. So kicking was a very important part of the game. But anyway, senior club rugby, we'll turn back to Nelson. Senior women, and it's here, the Stuff Tasman Trophy final, the big one.
Yeah, and the two top seeds have made it through. So Marist, who finished top of the table, are hosting Kahurangi, and that's at Trafalgar Park at 1 p.m. So Saturday. So that's a big occasion for both teams and their supporters, and I imagine they're going to be there in numbers. So well worth getting to.
Absolutely. So pretty closely matched on the table. What are your thoughts on the game?
Oh, just too tough to call, actually. It's who turns up on the day with the best mindset, I would think. They are both good teams. They've got different strengths. Marist in the forwards and certainly Kahurangi have some really good midfielders and back three. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Have you had a chance to see much of the women's games?
Yeah, had a gander at a couple.
Yeah,
saw Maris get up last time these two met. So I think Liz is spot on. She's going to be pretty tight.
Yeah,
excited to see them on T Park. Nice hard ground. Field's looking great. So hopefully see some good rugby.
And you'll be back in the Maris girls, will you?
Yeah, mate. I'm a little bit more optimistic than Les. I think they'll win in a landslide.
There's no bias on this show, that's for sure. All right, well, good luck to all the players in the final. 1 o'clock Trafalgar Park. Make sure you get down there and support them. And it's the Stuff Tasman Trophy round 6 in the men's division. What's the lineup there, Les?
Oh, Waimea Old Boys are hosting Nelson, Waitoi hosting Moutere, and then the top 4 are playing each other. So Stoke versus Marist at Green Meadows, and then Central versus Kahurangi at Lansdowne Park. Those last 2 games really will have a big bearing on how the seedings shape up for the semi-finals.
Okay, so this is where we do tips, Jimmy. So
right, let's do it.
So we'll start off with you, Sean, first, though. Waimea Old Boys versus Nelson will save Les from getting an air bashing
again. Look, I think both these teams have probably been a little bit disappointed with how the season's sort of played out. I think I'm going to side with Waimea this week. I think they've got an opportunity here to probably beat a Nelson team that's not quite performed as well as we sort of thought they might have this season. Waimea struggling as well, of course, but at home, I think they'll get up this week.
Mako will be very happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Les, Waitoi versus Moutere.
Yeah, so Waitoi got up over Waimea Old Boys last week. So they're in some good form, and Moutere are really, just there learning how to play first division footy with a view to the future. So I think Waitoi will get up in this one.
And Jimmy, I have to say, last week Sean wouldn't put his house on it. Stoke versus Central. He couldn't make a call. He tried to go for a draw. He tried to say, do I have to actually make a decision on this one? But
he's for a poker man, mate.
But actually, Stoke came through at home against Central, so they are trucking along very well at the moment. But of course, they're taking on the green machine. So, what are your thoughts on this one?
Oh, I think Stoke have really enjoyed having a few games at home. They had a fair few games away on the road, so I think they've enjoyed getting down to the home ground and good support there. They seem to be on a bit of a roll. I think it'll come down to the forward pack. I think if Marist can turn up and bully them around a little bit, they could take it, but I'm going to lean on the side of the Stoke.
Ooh,
Stoke.
There you go.
And we'll take that.
But as motivation.
Trevor Wells underdogs, eh?
There'll be a big crowd.
There, right?
It'll be a big game. Green Meadows.
That's dead right. It'll be a massive crowd there. And Green Meadows with Stoke supporters is a great place to be. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And another huge game as well. Central versus Kahurangi. Sean, I'm going to throw that at you. So.
Yeah, mate. As Les mentioned, it's going to make a big difference on that final run into the top four. Here we go again, eh? Draw. I just draw. No. Look, I'm going to side with Kahurangi.
Before we dive in here, there's a whisper of Timothy Tavatanawai getting some minutes.
So there you go. Might be the difference.
I like what you did there. Didn't the difference.
Look, I'm gonna lean towards Kahurangi, just with a little bit. I don't know. We'll go. I was about to change my mind.
I almost got him.
Good stuff. All right. Okay, so Stoke and Kahurangi, dead even at the top. Marist not far behind with equal as Central. So how tight is the top four? Waimar Old Boys, Nelson, Waitoa and Mutri still needing to get some points, that's for sure. Okay, here it is. Super Rugby, the final, and we all are going to have a go at tipping this one. So, Jimmy, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts? Chiefs at home versus the Crusaders.
Yeah, it'll be a cool story if both teams win. Like the Chiefs have done things exceptionally. They were pretty much untouchable through most of that season. Really showed up. They've got a pretty strong team to pick from. Crusaders, if they pull this off, it'll be bloody outstanding because they've had a fair chunk of injuries and they've really shown how deep they can go and what they can do. So I think last week's game was the writing on the wall for me. Crusaders will get the dub.
Right, there you go. Les, thoughts?
Well, first of all, I'll never back the Blues again, ever, in semi-final footy.
I know. Where did that come from? I mean,
they did it last year too in a semi-final, so it's just clearly in Crusaders' DNA to smack them around when it comes to the intensity required and the skill level required execution at semi-final time. So, look, I was mightily impressed with the Crusaders' play. The Chiefs have gone off the ball. You're dead right. They had a great start, like 10-0, weren't they? And, they've gone off the boil a little bit in the last 3 weeks. However, just to make things interesting in this chat, I'll go Chiefs 12 and under, only because they're at home and they do a good performance.
Yeah, exactly. I think, the Blues performance last week may have actually made the Crusaders. Well, I mean, the Crusaders look great, but maybe looking a bit too much into it. The Blues really didn't turn up. Chiefs have sort of been staggering their way across the line a wee bit towards the end there, but I think at home, if they can keep it close, I think they'll get there in the end. Chiefs 12 and under.
There was a bit of Damien McKenzie magic that got them across the line against the Brumbies. They only just pulled it off, didn't they?
Yeah, well, we talked about how good the Brumbies would be, and they were.
Yeah.
Semi-final footy's tough, isn't it? Everyone's up for it. So,
well,
anyway, who are you?
Everyone except the Blues.
Except the Blues, yeah. Who are you going for?
See, I knew he's going to. I was just going to slide on to the next subject.
Who are you going for?
No, I'm going to go Crusaders. I think that you're right. I think they're coming I think they've got too many big game players. They did have a few injuries, but a few of them are coming back now, and I just think they're peaking at the right time. And I don't think the Chiefs have been performing quite as well as they have. Damien McKenzie will be the difference. It's only going to take one play. Something's going to open up and away he goes. But I think the Crusaders' defence is too strong, and I think they've got too many game breakers. So there you go.
There you go. It's going to be a great chat next week.
I think if Crusaders start well, they get on a bit of a roll and that the confidence gets pretty high. I think if the Chiefs can turn into a bit of a dogfight, maybe a little bit of rain might help and just get down and dirty, and they could be pretty niggly and tough to tip over at home. So,
it's going to be a great game.
That's the thing.
O'Shedigan, 7 p.m.
Yes, exactly. It's going to be on there's plenty of screens around here, so a chance to come and enjoy some company and watch the final. Huge game it's going to be. You're with the Mako Rugby Roundup, and our very special guest is Jimmy Holden. He's the high performance manager with the Tasman Rugby Union. Jimmy, Holden, they call him, has been with the Tasman Rugby Union and the Tasman Mako since 2017, responsible for strength and conditioning of high-performance players. And in that time, the Mako have won back-to-back NPC premierships in 2019 and 20, as well as a National Sevens title in 2018. So, Jimmy, tell us about your background growing up, your school, university, and when did you decide strength and conditioning was the calling for you?
Start from the beginning. Grew up in a farm out of Gisborne, out in Whangaroa. So pretty humble upbringing. Enjoyed running around. Used to put the rugby boots on and run out the back of the farm to see Dad. I was pretty lucky with that upbringing. Then we shifted to Hawke's Bay for schooling. So I went to Lindisfarne College. We had the likes of Israel Dagg and Tane Randall were probably the big names that came out of that school.
Oh, wow.
Not a well-known rugby school, but gave it a good nudge. Then I applied my trade down at Dunedin University in Otago, where I met a lot of great people, had a lot of fun, and did my PE degree there. Where I kicked on and did a graduate diploma. But in terms of S&C, I suppose the initial dream had to change from being a professional rugby player to working in professional rugby in some way. Didn't quite have the natural gift to kick on as a good player, but absolutely passionate about the game. So started to look for other avenues. I used to be a competitive runner, so I always had a headspace for high performance and pushing myself. I got a friend of a friend managed to get me down to the Hurricanes for 2 weeks in between uni semesters and just got to see what the S&Cs did there, and it opened my eyes. I was like, this is everything I want to do. So from 21 onwards, I just went purely down the road of S&C, working out how to get there, which was a little bit tough. It was a pretty unknown journey as to how to get into the S&C world, how to then earn money in it, because it's not like a apprenticeship where you apply your trade and then there's guaranteed work for you. I ended university, and after finishing my grad diploma, I emailed every Super Rugby team in New Zealand and Australia and said, who wants some free help, basically.
Right.
And Crusaders said, within a week, can you come? Like, great, I'll be there in a second.
Wow.
Wicked.
So going back to school days, playing days. So you played rugby. Where was your position? What did you tend to play?
I was a fullback.
Oh, right. Wow.
Yeah. So could go all day. The fitness was never the issue. I used to be reasonably quick, but that went backwards from about age 12. So slowly slowed up.
From age 12,
Too many lamb chops.
That's about when I lost it.
Yeah. So it's a common thing for this table, maybe.
Oh, dear.
But I was a middle distance runner, so I used to compete at that. So I pulled the pin on rugby at 16 and chased that dream. But when I went to university, I turned up and played for Dunedin Sharks and said I was an open side flanker. Just completely lied and just trialled there for a bit of fun. It was a bit lonely at fullback most of the time, so I wanted to get in and amongst it. And had a pretty fun social rugby career at Otago Uni.
Oh, fantastic. And deep inside you, they say once you're a magpie, always a magpie. So
Stop it.
Apparently that never goes away. Soft spot for the Magpies?
I enjoy seeing them do well. Of teams to have the shield for a long time, it was pretty good to see what it did for the Hawke's Bay region. Playing against them was always that was an easy win for Tasman. There was non-negotiable. Had one of my good mates was the S&C for Hawke's Bay, so it's a pretty competitive game outside of rugby.
Yeah, right.
In that sense, but no, it's I'm pretty patriotic for the teams that I work for. It's more the connection to the players, sort of creates a connection to the community for me. It's like the Crusaders always had a soft spot since that internship, just purely because I've got some emotional attachment. And then same with Northland as well.
Speaking of Northland, you had a role there as an assistant S&C 2015, 2016. And you also looked after the Samoa Sevens in 2016. And then Tony Lewis found you in time for the 2017 season. But just looking back at your experiences with both Northland and Samoa Sevens, how did that shape the way that you approach strength and conditioning now that you're at Tasman?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the strength conditioning world's it's full of a lot of challenges. There's a lot of unique challenges to each region. You look at Nelson and Blenheim, there's the challenge of the hill, getting around that. But that was where Northern was fantastic. I'd be travelling at least an hour and a half most days to see where the HP group and Whangarei, Kirikiri and Kaitaia, and then also out in Dargaville. So there's a lot of geographical challenges over there, which definitely helped out moving to Tasman. Doing the trip over to Blenheim seemed pretty easy compared to that. But yeah, I think the Northern one was, we had a fantastic culture there, and we had to work really hard for that culture. While I was there, we went through a bit of a coaching restructure, so I had 2 new coaches to professional rugby. And first season there, we lost every single game. Second season, we got 1 win. So even though we were losing every game, the culture was fantastic, and the connection to fun and enjoyment and high performance, because we probably didn't have the most elite playing group. I think we only had 5 or 6 Super Rugby players, so most were just coming straight out of club into professional rugby. We had to squeeze as much juice out of that lemon as we could. And so then coming to Tasman, I was able to take a little bit of that and throw it across into Tasman. And the culture is something that I pride myself on, creating culture and common goal for the team. And so, I think Northern really helped with that. Samoa was just that's a whole different kettle of fish, going to the islands and training that group there. It's hot for a start, hot, sweaty, sleeping in the little dorms above the gym. Pretty humble, but absolute. You get no better community connection to the professional rugby team than what you do in the islands. I was pretty lucky. We went over to Paris, and won that leg of the sevens.
Oh, wow.
And it was the first time, I think, in about 5 years that Samoa had won a leg. And that was absolutely incredible. Yeah, no, we got pumped in the pool play by Fiji, absolutely run over, and we played them in the final. We're down by 20 points at halftime and came back and won. And
wow.
Yeah.
What was said at halftime? Or did the players
get the ball and bloody hold on? But yeah, absolute scenes. And then the next 2 days from that was just something I'd never experienced. Like I was getting 100+ friend requests on Facebook every day just from Samoan families, people people were trying to get on our bus in Paris to come back to the hotel with us. Just a whole lot of random people. It was absolutely amazing. Like what it meant for the country was pretty cool. So, pretty unique experience. Probably learned how to deal with a couple of challenges over there. There's not everything's perfect. But yeah, it was a special time, that little Samoa stint.
Out of it. So from assistant S&C at Northland, mate, to head S&C at Tasman, how special has it been over the last sort of 6 seasons being part of that Mako success?
Oh, mate, it's I've been extremely lucky. Came into a team that was already pretty successful. They'd made the final the year before I got there. We made the final the year I got there, which I suppose my first season I was pretty proud of. But looking back, a lot of the hard work has sort of already been done. I was just trying to guide it and learning myself. But then the years to come, I think I had a little bit more of had a small amount of input into that, and hopefully to this day have a little bit more input each year as I can add more. But it was so special. Love this team. It's love the town. Call Nelson home now. So it's I think that's a pretty cool thing about Tasman Mako is the whole community really buy into it.
Yeah.
You know, you look at other regions and there's a whole lot of other stuff going on and a few other distractions, but rugby and the Mako have it's been well adopted by the whole Tasman region, and it's pretty cool.
Mm. Any personal highlights over your time with Tasman?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. I mean, 2020 was pretty cool that year. We went back to back and won that purely because we got absolutely humbled up in Auckland in the round robin. Got absolutely dealt to. Yeah. Pretty humbling stuff. So then we went back and played the final there, and I think there's probably a fair few people that doubted we could do it, and we turned up and we had Mitch Hunt out in the first 20 minutes, and we had Tim O'Malley, aka Beaver, coming on. beaver-like performance from Tim O'Malley, and Dave stepped up, and the whole team stepped up. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But undoubtedly the highlight was 2019. Finally getting the job done. Really special team. Like it had built up to a perfect season, basically.
It was.
Yeah, we
undefeated.
were undefeated. It was a pretty squeaky semi-final from memory over in Blenheim. But yeah, really cool just seeing the community and behind it. It was an earlier game because of the World Cup, I think, from memory. And so the sun was setting at the back end of the game. It was just picturesque. The crowd was still chocker for the hours after the game. We had a fantastic time. Had absolutely no idea how the All Blacks were going in the World Cup.
Nice.
And no one cared. If you remember rightly, we lost.
Yeah, we did lose. And, I remember that coming up in the walker, and everyone was like, well, play on. But yeah, 2019 was really, really special. Yeah. It was we said goodbye to some pretty special Mako men at the end of that season. That'll be tough to beat.
Undoubtedly, 2020 was amazing. We've talked about it on a number of shows, and just that performance by David Havili, both sides of the ball. After Mitch went off, he basically played first five, and the work he did in defence. It was the most amazing game, and I think that's when he came right back into the All Blacks consideration.
Yeah. We got a couple of new management staff this year, and I think about 2 weeks ago I actually showed them the highlights of both games purely out of just enjoyment for it. I still get goosebumps watching it today.
Mate, this is going to be your last campaign for the Mako, and then you're off to Japan. So can you tell us a little bit about where you're off to and how that came about?
Yeah, so it will be the last season for now. Who knows? The plan is still to come back to Nelson, so whatever that looks like whenever that happens. But yeah, so off to Osaka with the team Kintetsu Liners, who are a Div 1 Japanese team, just almost got relegated but hung on. The Div 1 team, it's pretty unique how it came about. I think it was 2019, Liz, you might remember the year, but off the top of my head, 2019, we looked into creating a relationship with a Japanese club through Tony Lewis and potentially yourself. You would have sort of just got the players and trained them. But
yeah, the 2016, I think it was, and they ended up playing, those two players ended up playing for East Coast. East Coast no longer in the competition, but they got a country experience in Awatiri. So
yeah, it was really cool. So we had two players come across, and deal was we show them a bit of love, show them how we do things here in their Japanese off season. And yeah, they got a good country experience. I think they really enjoyed it. I remember seeing one of their Instagrams, and there's just photos of sheep on there. Well, the push was to try and create a relationship where there's a bit of give and take. We send players over, we get players back, and it didn't quite work out. I think they settled with the Rebels as their club they align with. So that didn't hear anything for a long time after that. And then one of the players that I trained, Naoki, who was a little bit older, he's now in recruitment, and he messaged me and said, "Hey, love what you did for me when I was over. Would like something like that in Japan. So what are your thoughts?"
Oh, wow.
And it's just been a roller coaster since then.
Yeah. So what's going to excite you about going over there?
Well, a whole set of new challenges. Going into my 7th season at Tasman, it's been really nice. Really happy with the direction it's gone and how the S&C space is looking. There's some good people underneath me, and the enjoyment is around seeing how they succeed now, growing them. And so Japan's a whole new set of challenges, completely new set of coaches, completely different environment. Already had a look at the schedule, and there's 14-hour working days.
Wow.
So there's a couple of things that might need a little adjustment, but just new challenges, new players, different way of living, different way of training. There's a head of performance over there that's been there for 8 years, so keen to learn how he applies his trade. It's a good time for the family, change it up.
Who are the coaches over there, and maybe any players that we know of over there? Or
I'll have to pass on the coaching question. Got absolutely no idea.
Right.
3 Japanese coaches, and I think they're looking for foreign defence coach. So if there's anyone out there. But players, Quade Cooper, Will Guinea are over there, so that's a connection to the Melbourne Rebels. There's our very own Andrew Makaleo is heading over there. And there's Hurricanes James Blackwell. It's probably some of the ones that are named.
Cool.
But, I think those are the main ones. I think Quade Cooper was out for the whole season, just gone. Apart from the promotion relegation games, he came back from an Achilles injury, so I think he'll be a big part to play, assuming he can get through the World Cup. But played his way into a World Cup spot. So fingers crossed everyone arrives fit and healthy.
Well, good luck with that. And, mate, I'm going to apologise for my dementia because it was 2019 when you had those boys.
I was going to correct you. I wasn't here in 2016.
2016, you're not even here. So my apologies about that. But I was here for all of your time with the team. So I'm going to ask you some rapid-fire questions. And this is your opportunity to be totally honest and throw some players under the bus. Or obviously give them some accolades, but best trainer.
I could fire off a whole lot of names. I mean, the Mako work rate is something we pride ourselves on. It's one of our values, and so there's very, very few players that don't actually fit that mold. But there'd be probably the one that stands out, which probably doesn't come as a massive shock, is Ethan Blackadder. He's probably he's the best trainer, but I think his commitment to everything in rugby is exceptional. Is the amount of time he spends studying the game, on his nutrition, everything off field, getting everything right. That allows him to be the best trainer. Unfortunately, he's had a few niggles this year. It's been a pretty frustrating season for him. But it's I mean, if there's anyone that can come back from it, it's him.
Yeah, he's proven that time and time again.
Yes.
So, strongest player.
Depends on the lifts. We've had plenty of big squatters in our time. Probably a surprising one for the group is Blair Princeps, a pretty big squatter. He went 260. Somebody that had real potential to move weight was Levi Amua. He turned up. He can shift some serious weight, but just the nature of him as a person or his body type means it was sort of gone away from strength stuff and more into power stuff, which probably represents how you see him play and the way he plays now. But he arrived and he could move some pretty big tin.
The fittest player?
Sorry, he'll shoot me if I don't. Luca Inch has actually got a pretty impressive.
He does. That's who I thought you were going to say.
Jeez,
it'll come up later.
His name comes up every show.
Exactly, and it'll come up again. I'm telling you now.
No, I didn't fall under the fittest as a correction. Strongest. Yeah. No, he's good with a trap bar deadlift as well. The chap, but
absolutely fittest player.
Fittest player would be Graham Urquhart. He's
Nelson halfback.
Nelson / Wanderers halfback. Greyhound. He ran a 418 Bronco for those of you that had a crack at that. So it's pretty sharp and absolutely loves it. The hardest thing is to hold him back.
He's quite a big halfback, isn't he? In terms of tall, very, very, very strong body.
It's lucky because he makes the most tackles out of anyone in that club at the moment. His tackle stats are through the roof.
Wow!
So he's defensively doing a lot for Nelson as well.
So he's a watch out for 2023 this season.
Yep. No, I think Graham's on track to have a pretty good season. He's got two good halfbacks in front of him, and a couple of good halfbacks underneath him that are pushing that case. So, he's going hard for it. And if he's trying to start up a window cleaning business, so
is he
window cleaning?
Oh, there you go. There's a plug.
There's a window out the front.
Well, maybe he can come on board as a sponsor and he can clean the screens while we're doing the podcast.
It's a creative idea. Yeah. The fastest player.
Over 10 meters. So speed off the mark would be Shannon Frizzell. He's got our record.
Wow.
So he is in his prime. He's absolutely electric. He can really move, especially because he's 115 kgs. Over 40 plus meters, you're probably looking at Jamie Spolett. He could really fly. Done a bit of track and field. So there's a good try from 2018 season where he just absolutely opened up Manawatu and ran away from everyone. So yeah.
So he didn't quite kick on, did he? Our Jamie.
No. He worked really hard to get in a good position. He was unfortunate with a couple of niggles and a couple of head knocks. So it's sort of momentum is a pretty big thing in rugby, and it can be tough. So,
but he was quick.
He was very fast.
Now this is where a name will come up. The funniest player you've had the privilege of training.
Oh, let me guess.
Most annoying or funniest?
Well, the pest comes up a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pest. He's already had enough airtime, so we won't throw that one out.
Sorry, Luca.
Funniest. Before I go funniest player, funniest management, Martin Verco. That guy could light up a room. Some of the best stories, or just storytelling ability. But funniest player. She's a tough one. I mean, Luca's funny character. We all know that. Tim O'Malley's he's pretty key to our culture. The enjoyment he brings to the whole team, not necessarily through just cracking funny jokes, but the enjoyment he brings to the team and the culture is second to none. AKA Bruce.
What was the segment?
Banter with Bruce. So we create a little segment where we get the new players up once a week, one of the new players into the team, and Tim O'Malley, aka Bruce, will get them up and have a little bit of banter with them and just sort of create nice little relationship, get to know the younger players. It grew into a pretty massive segment where he would do a bit of digging, he'd message your partner, your family, the players, and get a bit of gold, and really put you in the hot seat.
And finally, and this is where it gets tough, I'm sure, because given the number of players you've trained, but the best of the best players you've coached.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, we've been lucky enough to have a fair chunk of All Blacks through, so you could probably name every single one of those. And Will Jordan's a pretty special character. So yeah, it'd be tough to beat in terms of how high his ceiling is he's still got a way to go, I think.
Yeah, and nice to see him finally being selected as the 15.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was rapt to see that. I was rapt to see that.
Which he showed to us in 2019, didn't he? How good he is in the 15 jersey, and finally Foster's given him that responsibility.
Yeah, I don't think the rest of the world has actually seen how good Jill is. He's had a couple of little disrupted years, and he was sort of in the background a little bit at the start of his career with a couple of little niggles, but he can do some good things. I suppose the other person that comes to mind in terms of where he is at the moment and how high his ceiling is probably Levi Amua. He's come a long way, and I think he does have potential for bigger and higher honours.
Names.
Yeah, and he's a genetic freak. He's very strong, very powerful. He's got himself fit, which is probably the biggest thing holding him back. So I'll be excited to see what he does at Crusaders next year. Yeah,
with that in mind, the All Black squads have been announced, or the first ones for the year.
Yeah.
Surprised not to see Levi on the list, or?
Definitely surprised not to see him in that New Zealand 15. I think he was a bit hard done by there, and I may be biased, but I'd put his name in vivid, really. So I'm not sure what the story was there. He's a bit unlucky, but awesome to see Quinny in there as well. It's good to see that back end of the season coming right for him, and he's starting to string some good games together and playing good footy. And he had a pretty good pre-season, just had a couple of little niggles that set him back for more game time. But you don't remember the players that are at the start of the season. It's the ones that are there at the end.
Both David and Ethan are on the injured list.
Yeah.
What's the chances we'll see them in the Makos in August?
Haven't got the final update on Ethan. So it'll be interesting to see what that comes back as, but the plan is for him to come to Tasman and return to play and play his way hopefully back into the All Blacks in time for the World Cup. And pretty similar plan as Dave. He's going to come back after his rest at the end of Super Rugby. He'll look to come back and try and get that hamstring right and play some, hopefully a pre-season game, and then one or two games to get into that World Cup squad. I think if all goes well for him, he's a pretty important part of that All Black squad. So I think as much as some of the public might want, I don't think we'll have him for too long.
Yeah. No, but on that note, Jimmy, when's the Mako squad going to be named? Do you know?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question, Les. I'd have to ask my head coach and the commercial team as to when that's going to be released.
Can't be far away though.
No, it's pretty close. We had to just wait and sit back and see what happened with a few namings around the World Cup squads with Tonga, Samoa, Fiji. We had Te Ahiwaru, Whitukura Tavita in that, which was pretty exciting, but curveball. We didn't fully plan for that, but awesome to see you get higher honours. So ones like that sort of just affect how the makeup of the back end of that squad is around the young development contracts. So it'd be pretty close. We're pretty close to finalising that.
Oh, we'll look forward to getting someone on the show when it is named. So
yeah, that's right.
I think Lyndon's offered his services, so we'll follow up. We'll follow up on that.
Yeah, but yeah, there's some good guys coming through club rugby. There's some of the boys have really put their hand up, and they'll earn themselves opportunity to come in and train and present throughout the season. So as we saw last year, the game's getting pretty brutal. So opportunities they do come. It's just if you're ready at the right time to take them.
Good stuff. Well, look, Jimmy, last season with the Mako, so we wish you every success before you hit Japan, and we really appreciate you coming in and giving us a bit of insight into behind the scenes of the Mako and strength and conditioning, and more so the players. It's good to know, on the training ground, those that rise above the rest, and of it, usually people like Will Jordan and Levi and those kind of guys. You can see why they do reach the heights they do, and work rate is always the thing that sort of comes through, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's probably a little bit underestimated as to how much work they actually put in. You see the Super Rugby players, and they're absolute rock stars now, and they live a fantastic life where they train and eat well and play rugby for a living and get paid well for it. But before they get to that, it's the toughest job in the world. We're expecting them to work to a trade or work in the forestry or study and then turn up and train like a professional rugby player from 5 till 9 o'clock at night. It's really tough, but if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, Jimmy. Well, look, thanks very much for coming in, mate, and all the best for the future. And we hope that we see you back in the city again, and we'll be able to get you in and have another chat to you about your experiences. Thanks very much. Before we go, though, what we will talk about is the All Black selection. So we'll start off with you, Sean. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty well-rounded squad. I think Levi was probably the notable surprise not to be there and thereabouts. But yeah, good to see a few new names getting a crack at it for sure.
I was overall pretty happy with the All Blacks squad. Disappointed with some names missing with the All Blacks 15, but in terms of the All Blacks, obviously Dallas McLeod came out of the clouds to get selected. I said as long as Lester Whanganuku and Sean Stevenson were there, I'd think that they're really picking on form. So Lester's made it, which is fabulous. Fins up to him.
He had a great season.
Yeah, he did. But the one I'm disappointed for is Sean Stevenson, and I just don't know what the lad's got to do. But he is in the squad as an injury reserve. So yeah, but I have to say, pretty balanced and good squad.
What about you, Jimmy? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think pretty balanced squad. I'm pretty happy with how most of it looks. It'd be interesting to see the difference between what the squad looks like for the Rugby Championship and the World Cup. There's still a few names that are penciled in to come back. The likes when Joe Moody's back and those sort of characters. Plus, we've mentioned Dave and Heath. So yeah, it's a good chance for a few of the younger guys like Dallas to put their hand up and maybe a slight eye to what the future looks like a little bit. But I think they've done pretty well.
So I suppose the big notable moves is Barrett, into the midfield and not being considered really for fullback. Bowden definitely putting himself there as a number 10, along with Richie McCaw. Richie McCaw.
Always Richie.
Yeah.
Richie Moore.
He could play anywhere.
He could play anywhere, that's right. And of course, Will Jordan with his name firmly there at fullback, and I think that's a fantastic move. Unlucky for Stevenson, but I don't know. Sometimes there's just little things that they pick up, whether it's defence or positioning, or there's little things that we don't see sometimes that they pick up on. But that's going to depend on form, isn't it? And probably no big surprises in the forwards. I mean, fantastic is it Williams for the Crusaders? Was it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And And Lomax, coming in, retaining his position. So that's fantastic news as well.
And the 6, Summer Penny Finau.
Yeah.
He's a big bruiser, isn't he? And we've been looking for a Kano-type rugby player for a long time. So Finau and Frizzell will go head-to-head in determining who plays there. Or it could be Jacobson. Or it could be Barrett.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So, there'll be, good Hughes injured. So, Ethan Blackadder. I mean, Havili. Because I saw Havili's name not there, and I was thinking, injury. So, but there's still opportunity. And at halfback, bit of a surprise there for the number 3, I guess. For the Chiefs missing out.
What do you think, Jimmy? Surprise?
Not shocked, but Cam's had a fantastic season. And so, I mean, they know what they can get out of Brad and and Falau. Then they'll get a little taste of that with that New Zealand 15. But I think it's just I think what showed from this World Cup squad is that All Blacks obviously back their environment to get these young guys right. And so if they get them in, see how they go at this precious stage of rugby championship, and then they'd rather know now than have to pick later.
So it's kind of like, you've got the experience in there, but one eye on the future. I think that's probably maybe what they're going for. Smith's last year, Christie coming into some good form, and he's got plenty of experience. And then you've got the young apprentice coming through, and maybe that was to the detriment of Brad, but injury, he's straight in, isn't he? And he'd do the job for you.
Well, that's right. Like, there's a lot of games to go. There's a lot of potential injuries to pick up. So I think there's a case if they know what they can get from certain people when they've been at the big stage and they can handle that. And then there's an eye just seeing how guys are handling it at this stage if they can make that step. But it'd be tough to be a selector, right?
Absolutely. But with 10 All Blacks on the injury and not available for the championship, the World Cup squad might look completely different. So I take your point. I think your point's very good, Jimmy. This is their chance to actually see how these guys will go with an eye to the future.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, gentlemen. What's on for the weekend, Les?
It's a Mariston Stoke Rugby Day. So the Basileri Cup is up for grabs. So I'll be there and got lots of good friends in the Stoke Club. So I'll be at the aftermatch. And then I hope to get here at 7:00 for the Super Rugby final.
Yeah, and of course the final with the girls as well at Trafalgar Park.
Yeah, sorry that I can't get there. It's just scheduling, But I hope they get a good crowd of Maris supporters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll be following a similar format to Les probably. Drag around behind him.
Well, you drive the walker log. Get on it.
Actually, I'll just drive him around.
All right, good stuff, gentlemen. Thank you very much once again. Thank you, Jimmy, for coming in. That's it for another edition, and we'll see you all again next week.
The Mako Rugby Roundup. What's on, where, and when? It's the Talk of Nelson. Talk Nelson Radio.